Hi, this is David Williams from iExpert Advisor. In this video, I'll show you how to use the VTS EA Wizard. The EA Wizard guides you through each step of building your typical EA. The wizard has 8 steps from start to the final step of actually building the EA. The best part of the EA Wizard, I think, is that it actually creates a drawing for you as you complete the steps. When you're finished with the wizard, you can change the mode from wizard mode to drawing mode to view and edit your drawing. So in this video, I'll show you how to create an EA that opens a buy trade when a fast-moving average crosses up through a slow-moving average, and closes the buy trade when the fast-moving average crosses down through the slow-moving average. I'm not going to define any logic for the sell trades, only to keep this video from getting too long. But the concepts are the same for buying or for selling. To start a new EA Wizard system, go to the Welcome screen, select Create New System, and then click the EA Wizard button. This will open a window where you could name your system, or you could just take the name it generates. This is the EA Wizard start screen. It shows the steps along the bottom, as well as the back, next, finish, and cancel buttons. To navigate through the wizard, just follow the directions on the screen for each step and select Next when you're done. Step 1 is Start. This shows a screen that describes each step of the wizard. Step 2 is the Input step. In this step, we can create any parameters that we want to be available as input parameters when we attach the EA to a chart. For this EA, I'd like to create 2 input parameters, each for the period of the slow and the fast MA. This way we could change the periods even after the EA has been built. Each time we attach it to a chart, we could test with different values for the periods for each moving average. I'm going to click the Next button to move us to the next step, Inputs. Here it says, click to add an input parameter. So I'll push that. Now, I'm going to name my input parameter, fast MA period, and I'll give it a default value of 6 and say OK. And this shows that it's been added. And I'm going to add another one. I'll call it slow MA period. And I'll give this a default value of 12. I'll select OK. And we see our values. I'll push the next button and we're complete with this step. Okay, so that was the input step. The next 4 steps control the opening and closing of buy and sell trades. They're named Open Buy, Open Sell, Close Buy, and Close Sell. Each of these trade steps have 3 sub-steps. The sub-steps are Indicator, where you can define any indicator values you may need. We'll need the moving average indicator. Logic, where you define the logic that causes a trade to be opened. Our logic will be the moving average crossover. And finally, the trade sub-step, where you can set the parameters for opening a trade. Parameters like lot size, take profit, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to push the next button and select an indicator. We're going to need the moving average. This window shows a list of all the indicators offered by MetaTrader. And when you select one, you have an opportunity to set up the different parameters. So for the period, this is where we're going to enter the variable that we define as a parameter, fast MA period. Okay, so let me explain what's happening here. Period is a parameter used for calculating a moving average. Normally on this screen, we would just enter a number like 12. But if we did, our EA would always calculate a 12-period moving average. And if we wanted to change that period value, we would need to rebuild this EA. So instead, we're going to enter the name of the input parameter, named fast MA period, that we defined in the input step. This way, every time we attach this EA to a chart, we'll have a chance to change the period. And I'm going to name this fast MA. Now I'm also going to define another indicator, and again it's a moving average, but this is the slow moving average. So I'll define the period as the slow moving average period, And again, that's going to show up when you attach the EA to a chart, so you can change that value. And I'll call this the slow MA. I'll push done, and we see that we have our indicators. So now I'll select next, and we'll go to the logic. Now, the logic is going to be a crossover between these two moving averages. So I'll select the fast moving average, crosses up, and then I'll select the slow moving average. This logical condition states that when a fast moving average crosses up through a slow moving average, it will return true. And this will cause a buy trade to be opened. Okay, so that's all we need for our logical condition. I'll push done, and I'll push next to move to the next step, which is the trade step. Now, here you can define the different parameters for opening a trade. You can change the lot size, you can change the stop loss, or the take profit values. I'm just going to go ahead and take the default values. Now I'll push next, and that completes our open buy. And I'm going to go quickly through the open sell because we're not going to define that for this EA. So this brings us to our close buy step. First, we'll define the logic. And the logic is going to be the fast MA crosses down through the slow MA. So it's very similar to what we did for open buy. I'll hit done. I'll hit done again. And that defines our logical condition. And now, when we push the trade button, this allows us to define the parameters for closing our trade. So we can pick the ticket, we can pick the number of lots, and a couple other parameters that are available. And that's it. We're done with that step. And again, I'm going to go quickly through the close sell step because we're not going to do that. And that brings us to the message step. This is one of the final steps, and we could check off some messages that we'd like our EA to send us. I'm going to have it show an alert when a trade is opened. That's it for the message step, and we move to the build step. I'll click the button to build the EA, and this is actually running the MetaTrader tools to build a function in EA from the MQL code. And we got a big green check mark, so that means it built correctly. Now here comes the cool part. We could switch to drawing mode. So I'm going to select drawing mode, and the EA wizard becomes read-only, but the drawing can now be modified. So these are our functions that represented steps in the wizard. Here's the open trade function. I'll open that up, and you can see our fast MA, our slow MA, and even our logical condition. These are things we defined in the wizard, but they become elements in the drawing itself. So I'll go back to wizard mode now, and I finish building, and we are complete with that step, and we are complete with the wizard. We've actually built our first expert advisor. And I'm going to push the platform button, and this will open up a window with our MetaTrader platform running. And I'll go over to the Expert Advisor menu tab, look for our EA wizard, and I'll double click it, and this will attach to the chart. And there it is. We're running our EA. Okay, so now that we've created it, if you need to make changes, you can go back to the wizard, and all the steps are highlighted, which means that you could click any of them, and you could make changes, and you could rebuild it and retest your EA. So thanks for watching my video, and if you have any questions, stop by our website.